have personally tried to meet some officials of the ministry, and then we see if we can negotiate, or talk on the issue. But they are always not available. They tell you they are in a meeting. He's travel outside, this and this. You know how these big men, they well, I am putting my life on it. I think the same applies to some of our members. So we are here to put our lives on it. We'll continue until we hear something favorable from the ministry. If they don't respond, we stay here.
The Director of Public Relations at the ministry received the group's petition.
Quite interesting. Interesting in the sense that now they are saying that they have actually got in touch with National Service Secretariat to give them the green light to have their members' dues deducted at source. But I am of the opinion that if you want to do somebody to do something for you, you need to sit down with the person and then you look at the pros and the cons. I mean, deducting people's money at source is a very risky thing in the sense that now if their monies are deducted and then the organization falls up, what happens to the deduction that has been made? So we are of the opinion that they need to exercise patience and sit down. They should sit down with the National Service Secretariat to look at the pros and cons of the whole thing, so that at least those who are ready to have their monies deducted, so they'll give undertaking.
He also assured the group's members the ministry will forward their concerns to the National Service Secretariat.
Right, and so that was Tuesday, and Wednesday we understand that the hunger strike has been called off. But let's just get into the conversation already. Malcolm Asamoah is Executive Secretary and founder of the Graduate Initiative Africa. He's here with me in the studio. Thank you very much, Malcolm. This morning you have eaten.
Yes, I have.
We thank God. How come you called it off?
We suspended a protest. We didn't call it off entirely. We have just suspended it.
I see.
Now, this was as a result of a letter that was given to us. It's a copy saying that the National Service Secretariat should review our petition and then communicate that back to the ministry. Looking at that, we were at that time a little bit satisfied, so we decided to suspend it pending the outcome of that review.
This fund you talk about, try and share the knowledge of this fund with us.
Okay. The Graduates Fund program is a sustainable livelihood and welfare improvement program that we have designed for young people who have tertiary experience. You can be in the university, the polytechnic, you can still be part of Graduate Fund. You may be working, you can still be part of Graduate Fund. And then maybe you've just completed and you are doing your national service, you can still be part of the fund. Now, the fund is just similar to a credit union concept, where a group of people come together and then they put their resources, small resources, into a pool that they use for their own needs, just to better their lives. So that is something very short about the fund. Now, the objective of the fund is one, to provide a source of funding for graduates who wish to go into self-employment. That is to promote entrepreneurship. Now, the other objective of the fund is to help in training graduates, that is to build up their capacities in entrepreneurship, in research, and then in business management, so that they can better start their businesses and expand and then sustain those businesses. And then finally, some people who may be part of Graduate Fund may not necessarily want to go into self-employment. They would like to do other things or have personal needs. So as a member, you can access funds from the fund to do other personal things that you feel like doing. So that is something different.
I'm probably looking at the bigger picture, and you're setting this fund up so that there are several thousands of graduates in our country, and this fund is supposed to help all the graduates, whether you contribute to the fund or not.
No, this program is a voluntary program, meaning that if you believe as a young person that this can contribute to improving your life, then you join. We are not making it mandatory for all graduates or all national service personnel. If you wish to join, then you join.
And so where does government come in?
Well, when we first started this program, we decided to pilot it just to see the challenges that may arise in the future. So we did about 4 months the pilot at the various universities, and then we realized that members were finding it difficult to pay in their contributions at that time. They have to leave school, go to our bankers, and then pay in. All of them couldn't do that. So what they said was that, okay, then tell your reps to come over to campus, and then you take the monies monthly, on a monthly basis. That we did. And then along the way, we realized that it wasn't consistent. Today, you'll be there, they'll say, oh, I'm broke. Can you come tomorrow? Tomorrow, you go the same thing. And then we also realized that we were spending more. The operational cost was more than what was coming in. So as a group, we resolved that, okay, since all our members will be doing national service, and it's a period where they get something small and it's regular, then let us use the national service period to do the fund mobilization. So we wrote to the Secretariat, to the Executive Director, telling him that our members have subscribed to this program and they want us to start negotiating with them as to how a platform can be created for them to contribute directly from source their contributions into the fund. And the Secretariat, upon several interactions and other things with them, decided not to do it. Now, they gave reasons. Those reasons are very flimsy.
Take us through some of those reasons.
Number one, they said allowing for that to be done for our members will mean additional work for them. Now, we don't really understand this. Yes, it may become an additional work, but in our proposal, we said that we were ready to pay for the extra work that our members' request will add to their normal duties. So we were ready to pay.
Mr. You also hatched the money.
Not that we had the money, but if you want a bank to place a standing order for you, and then every month they take it for you, you pay something, because it involves some charges.
I think what I want to find out is how you were going to pay that, because the Graduate Initiative Africa is an NGO. It's looking into helping graduates, and of course, if you had the money, you would do it without having to start this fund to be contributed by the graduates. And so, if the Secretariat was saying that, well, you're giving us extra work to do, and you say, well, we suggested that we were going to pay for that, how are you going to do that?
Each member, anybody who is part of it and has made that request is supposed to pay that out of his own pocket. So the members were ready to be charged. So that will be included in the total amount that will be deducted from their allowance. So they were fully ready to pay. And they have written to the Executive Director in that regard. They have written their own letter and presented that to the Executive Director. Now, number two, they also said that if our members receive their allowance and they find their own way of paying in, that will be easier. But that was the same reason why we first contacted you. We did a pilot thing and we realized that monies were not forthcoming. People were finding it difficult. Even if you take the service program, they pay in different forms. One, those that live in the urban areas like Accra and maybe Tema and Kumasi, they ask them to open bank accounts at some banks that they select, and then they pay their allowance through that. Others use e-switch card, and then others too, they give them a cheat in the form of like a check, kind of. You go to the bank and then cashier gives you the money. And then finally, some also take it on the table, especially those in the rural areas. Now,
the very remote areas.
Now, if it happens that members are there, now how are they going to contribute to the fund? using our bankers, because in the rural areas there are no banks there. So it means that they have to travel from where they are to the urban center to access banking facility, and that cost will even be more than if they should deduct for them a source and they wish to pay, right? So looking at all these challenges, we said that help us. We're pleading. It is for the good of the people and the nation at large. So create a platform for them. The organization is not forcing national service that take people's money and give it to us. No. We said that create a platform, just like a controller and accountant general created a platform for workers who join unions and associations to get their dues deducted from source. So create that same platform for them, so that if they wish, they make a personal, they individually make request to that. And I have with me, I want you to look at it, because yesterday when I was on this program, the PMX program, the executive director was denying that we have never submitted written documentation from service personnel that they want such things to be done for them. So this morning, I would like you to look at it and tell viewers.
How many members are on the fund?
Currently, we are a little over 100.
A little over 100.
Yeah, but about 50 are national service personnel. The rest, self-employed workers, and then those who are now looking for a job. Yeah. And then finally, the last reason they gave was that because the number is not huge, maybe they expect that we should get 70,000 members or 80,000 members before they can do it. Because they said the number was small, if they deduct, they will not be able to account for that. Now, how that will worry their accounting system or their auditing staff. Now, what is auditing? It's about accounting for monies that have been given you, the receipts, how you spend it, and the receipts and all that. Now, if a member has written
has
to you,
authorized that
authorizing you to deduct monies from source, and you have documentation proving that what is it? You say you can't account for that? It's a shame. If they have a new auditing system different from what other government institutions use, then they should tell us, right?
I find the fund a bit cumbersome because I don't understand yet. But maybe you'd explain in the course of the conversation. But as an NGO, why won't you outsource funds and then help the, unemployed graduates here in Ghana than have them take from their meager national service fee?
Well, let's say Ghanaians, we like depending on people. It's time we learn how to manage our own resources and use them for our own benefit. This NGO is a unique one. It's different from all other NGOs. Instead of outsourcing for that, we have decided to raise the funds ourselves internally. It is allowed. It is done. Voluntary contribution, membership fees is how we raise our funds. So we want to prove to the whole nation, Ghana, that you don't always need to go sourcing for funds outside.
So how much have you raised?
Now, we have not raised anything substantial because the program has been halted by the action of the National Service Secretariat. Now, the Graduate Fund program is not anything that someone will say he or she doesn't understand. It's so simple.
I'll tell you why I say I don't understand. If you have about 100 graduates on the fund, and it comes to sourcing the contributions they have done, how do you do that?
Can you come again to that?
Okay, so I contributed to the fund, so did person B and person C, and it goes on like that. We all want to be helped from the fund. How do you give us that help, money-wise?
Good. Assuming 100 people contribute to the fund, and at the end of their national service, a few of them will become employed.
You actually do have some who are not national service persons.
Yes.
In any case, you don't maintain your status quo as a national service person.
Yeah. So a few of them will definitely find employment just after the service, so they may not be necessarily thinking about starting business. Now, if you, let's say 20 get employed, out of the remaining 80, now you know that becoming an entrepreneur takes a lot of things. Now, out of, if we say that we have 10 people and we want them to, you know, employ themselves, it's only 2 or 3 that can do that. All right, so we know that out of that 18 number, just a few will be able to go into self-employment. So what we have decided to do is that we'll group them. If we group you, maybe a group of 3 or 5, you come up with a business proposal. That will be vetted. If it's good, because monies must be paid back to the fund. If that is good, we fund it. And then we make sure that you employ other people to help you from the group. So it's not something that they may be doing individually, but collectively as a group. Now, we cannot fund everybody at the same time. So it is something that we'll do systematically from time to time. And if we can't do it, we may invite other people to assist.
I see. Now, I'm looking at the point where you have the graduates and they get employed and they are no longer interested in the fund. Sustainability.
Well, we have designed a fund that before you can opt out, you must have stayed with us for at least 3 years. So within that 3 years,
I see.
Yeah.
Then it's not just voluntary.
No, it is voluntary.
You get into it and you can't check out just like that.
Every initiative, every program, there are rules, there are terms and conditions. If you are opening a bank account, we have terms and conditions, just that we don't read them before signing. So we also have our terms and conditions. What we do is that we educate you on the terms and conditions of the fund. If you feel you can, then you join. So one of the terms and conditions is that you cannot opt out until you've been with us for 3 years.
I see. Would continue the conversation from there, but let's take a listen to the Executive Director of the National Service Secretariat, Alhaji Al-Hassan Imoro, on the same issue, and then we'll come back to the studio and talk to Malcolm.
Well, we are not against the fund, provided the fund is credible.
Credible. Now, I want to stop at credible. The Okudzeto Ablakwa has apparently, from Malcolm, given you a note saying that help these graduates. Have you received that note?
No. What Ablakwa wrote on a parliamentary card that Alaji, please listen to these people.
In the audience, okay.
And listen to Bera. That was what Ablakwa wrote. It isn't that Ablakwa has written any letter to us, given his support to it or whatever. I don't know the kind of discussion that went on between Malcolm and the Honorable Ablakwa. But what I received was a complimentary card, and he wrote on, Alaji, listen to Bera. That was all.
And did
so
you?
What we are saying is, we are not against this fund. The service personnel have their rights. Once we pay the allowances to them, it is their right.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
National Service cannot
Dictate.
tell them how to use money that belongs to them. And so if the service personnel themselves identify with the fund, they are free to contribute generously towards the fund. We are not against that. But we cannot use our structures to go around countrywide mobilizing service personnel for this. They are free to join. And if they are free to join, they are equally free to contribute at their free will towards the fund. We are not against it. The graduate fund, they brought this to our attention somewhere last year, February. They submitted a proposal on the establishment of the fund. But the proposal lacked so many details. But in the first place, they were unable to tell us the membership of this fund. They were unable to tell us how the structures that they are going to put in place to manage these funds. Meanwhile, they are not service personnel. Those presenting this proposal, they are not service personnel. And we have structures that we operate with because National Service as a public institution is governed by rules and regulations. And the target group that they are talking about is the current service personnel. And so we say the service personnel have an association. If you want to deduct monies from this service personnel for the graduate fund, the personnel themselves must identify themselves with this fund. So we refer them to the National Service Personnel Association because whatever...
Right, so the soundbite you just heard is Executive Director of the National Service Secretariat, Alhaji Al-Hassan Imoro. He was engaged by Nana Nsakwa on PM Express Tuesday night. And Malcolm Asamoah, who is the founder of Graduate Initiative Africa, is still here with me. You were on the program with him, really, but the National Service Secretariat actually has the right to deny you this.
No.
Why not?
I don't think so. Why? Because the National Service Act that brought into being the scheme is silent on that. So it means that it can be done.
And it also means that it cannot be done.
It should be done.
Based on discretion.
It should be done based on the magnitude of the program. The program is to help alleviate unemployment. You know that in Tunisia, it took just one person to start a revolution. What happened? His livelihood was taken away from him, and he decided to burn himself. And that went on and on to other North African
What
countries.
has that got to do with this?
In Ghana, the unemployment rate is increasing. Now, where there's a time bomb is that those who are now becoming more and more unemployed are now also very much educated. So they see politicians, they see these executive directors in big cars, enjoying themselves with girls and all that. And then they are home suffering. So it will come to a point that they will decide to take arms. Now, we have decided to do a hunger strike. It has not happened in Ghana before. So tomorrow, what will happen next? Another group will now start taking guns on politicians and then the executive directors.
We hope we won't get there.
Now, the executive director said something about the Honorable Okujetua Ablakwa. We had fruitful discussions with him. He went through our documents one by one. Where he wasn't that satisfied, he asked us to go and clarify that and come back. That was how safe will the people's money be. I think all this issue of the Service Secretariat refusing us and all that is all about how credible is the organization and how safe the people's money will be.
And you have answers to those questions?
Yes. We went to the Bank of Ghana, introduced the program to them, we had discussions with them, and then they said, no, this looks like a cooperative. So go to the credit union and join them and let them regulate this for you. And we have done that. And we have the documentation. So this program is now being developed by the Credit Union Association to become a credit union. So this is properly being regulated. Now, the documents were now sent back to Okujetua Ablakwa. And after he read through them, he was satisfied. So he took his complimentary card. I know in the various ministries and the agencies and all that, normally unofficial staff, they just use their complimentary card and stuff. And he worked to Alaji. This is the mission. Kindly assist bearers, not kindly listen to them. He said assist them. If you are not clear with that, can't you call the Honorable Minister? Please, can you read this? Yesterday, he told a big lie on PMX, saying that the Honorable just said, oh, can you listen to them? Now, the document is right before you. He also said that they don't know us. We are strange people, strange organization to them. Now, this is a supporting letter from Private University Students Association of Ghana, telling the National Service that we have engaged, we have had fruitful discussions with this group, and we find them credible. So we want you to help them because this program will help graduates in Ghana. This is another one from Ghana National Union of Polytechnic Students. The same one to the National Service Secretariat. So if they are saying that we are a strange group to them, they don't know us. Come on. Now, he also mentioned...
So what now?
Well, we have received a letter.
Want to share that?
Yeah. From the Ministry of Education when we were back on our protest yesterday, saying that they have asked the National Service Secretariat to look at the petition once again. Now, at that time, we thought that yes, they have done something, so we decided to suspend. But after careful thinking through of this letter by me and other members this morning, we realized that this letter lacks a lot of things.
I see.
Number one, the letter...
You think this letter, on second thought, really, you think that it lacks weight?
It lacks weight.
Right, we'll talk about it after the break. Don't go away. You're welcome back to News Desk. This morning we've been talking about Graduate Initiative Africa and their bid to have some sort of dues deducted from volunteers of their graduates fund, deducted from their national service allowances, which has brought up a whole lot of issues and led them to perhaps half a day of hunger strike. But now he tells me that the letter which, I beg your pardon, the letter which caused them, this letter, which caused them to call off or suspend their hunger strike is actually not weighty at all. Let's take a listen to why he doesn't think it's weighty. Malcolm is still here with us. Malcolm Asamoah is Executive Secretary and founder of Graduate Initiative Africa. So Malcolm, you were telling me this letter you think does not hold substance. Why?
Yes, but before I touch on that, I would quickly want to say something. Now, deductions from service personnel allowance is nothing new to the Secretariat. They have some mandatory deductions that they do across board. And then also they have some voluntary deductions that they also do. And I'll share that with you. There is a hire purchase company that sells mattresses and all that to so they have come into agreement with the National Service Scheme that we want to sell our product to service personnel nationwide. Now, when they decide to buy some, then you take it direct from source. So if a service personnel takes an item from that hire purchase company, they take it from source. So that platform is already there. And we know that not all service personnel at a particular time will purchase such items, right? And it's just about filling a form. Well, I've bought this, kindly deduct from my money. It's the same thing that we are also calling for. So there should be a level fairness, level playing ground. If we can do this for this hire purchase company that is selling goods to make money, then we can equally help these people to raise their funds to employ themselves, because it's for the good of the nation. That is just by the way.
And we were hoping that this letter will give us that level playground, but you don't think it would?
Not at all.
Let's talk about it.
This letter, we have been on this case for nearly 1 year. So for us to go on a hunger strike, it means that it has gotten up to our neck level. So it should be dealt with as a matter of agency. Now, you are rather appealing to the National Service Secretariat to review that. Now, what exercise have you done yourself as a ministry to see if we have a case or not, but rather referring it back to those that we have petitioned against? That is bad for us. Number two, you have not given any timeline or time frame within which they should work. You just said, oh, just take a second look at it. Within how many months? 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month. So it means that the Secretariat can decide to wait 6 months and then come out with a report, which we don't like. So it lacks weight. Number two, this letter was dated 6 January 2014. Now, if you have written a letter to the National Service Secretariat and copied us on the 6th of January, and we have been trying to tell you that we have not heard anything from you, so on the 14th, we'll be going on hunger strike. Even on the 13th, we were still at the ministry. If you knew that you have done something like that, why did you keep it away from us for this long? Only to come to give it out to us yesterday when we embarked on the hunger protest. Number three, now CC, that is carbon copy. It means that you are making a photocopy of the letter that you have written. So the signature column should not be in ink. It should be like a photocopy kind of thing. But you realize that they have just printed it yesterday, backdated it, and then signed it. So you can see blue ink here. So in actual fact, we have decided that this morning or this afternoon we'll go back and then get some things clarified. But we are going to resume the hunger strike next week.
We'll talk about your hunger strike and its resumption. But tell me, this letter is for the National Service. That's right?
Yes.
What have you heard from them since they got this letter?
National Service, they have not made any contact with us so far. At least they should have sent us an email that we have received a note or a letter from the ministry, and that we are working on it and we'll get back to you. Because these days we don't even need to...
Have you made contact since you got this letter?
We got it yesterday. Now, since they are at the center of the issue, they should make an attempt to get back to us. Okay, to just write something. It's just an email that, oh, we have this. They have not done anything like that. So, to me, personally, what the ministry has done is a clever way of keeping us quiet, of us calling off our hunger strike.
So what now?
We are going to resume the hunger strike next week, Tuesday. And it will be the same indefinite thing. Until the issue is resolved, we will not stop. So we are going to resume it because this last week.
Let's talk about this again. You're willing to go hungry indefinitely because the National Service Secretariat is denying you the opportunity to be able to deduct the National Service, deduct 20 cedis, as per what I'm reading here, 20 cedis from your volunteers, as far as the National Service allowance is concerned. Can't we find alternatives?
Well, in life and in this democratic dispensation that we find ourselves, we have choices. So you can choose freedom. That's a right. You know, under the Labor Law Act, the Labor Act, it states that if an employee puts his request into writing that I am part of this association or this organization and I want my employer to deduct my dues or any other contribution from source to it, it should be done. It should be considered, provided it has been it's something that is in writing and documented, and is from the individual, but not the association or the organization. Right now, if we, although national service personnel are not workers per se, but they are also rendering some service. It's a service. And then they just compensate them somehow, right? So it means that they also have that right to make such a request.
I see. So for you, there is no alternative to this?
There are alternatives. Some of them have decided to pay, go to the bank and pay in. Those who are, especially those who work in the private sector. Or some of them
could present the letters personally too?
Yes, if they so wish. Because the letters will not go. You see, national service things have been decentralized in a way, okay, that payment of allowances are done at the various districts, not from the national service head office. It is the various districts. So it's the district directors that are responsible for that. So what we are telling our members is that if you are interested, write your, put your request into writing and send it to your district director. Now, yesterday on PMX, they were saying like the charges, because the number is not great, so there will be a lot of charges.
So next Tuesday,
issuing a check, how much would that cost?
Next Tuesday, you're starting your hunger strike again.
Yes.
And at the Ministry of Education.
Oh, definitely. You know, hunger strike is a little bit different from the normal demonstration where you go marching.
I just wanted to be clear on the venue.
You sit at the doorstep of whoever wrongs you. So we will be there.
I see.
At the ministry.
I see.
We will be there until they resolve this letter issue. Because this, it lacks credibility.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Thank you very much, Malcolm. Malcolm Asamoah is Executive Secretary and founder of the Graduates Initiative Africa. And we have been speaking about the suspended hunger strike. And you heard the story that's unfolded in our conversation.